Welcome to the Journey Unleashed. And this is Dr. Blue, and I have with me today Sir Phoenix Black. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
And I also have our good friend Sugar Bush. Say hi, Sugar Bush.
Greetings and salutations, beautiful people.
Today we are going to talk about a topic that came up in one of our Facebook groups about how to add or the process of adding another member to the household, coming from a dominant perspective, adding multiple submissives or slaves. Before we start, I'd like to add our little disclaimer. We want you to remember that this is a casual convo for the betterment of our Kiki peeps to explore diverse perspectives through dialogue. We are not preaching the gospel here. We are not teaching. We are learning as we go, and the views expressed today may change next week because we are ever learning and ever evolving kinky humans. That said, let's get started. And I usually kick these conversations off, but I'll open it up. Does anybody want to start? Should I just start talking? Because, I was born to talk.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, in the group, in one of the groups, an anonymous anonymous question was asked about what is the process that a dominant has for adding additional members to the household. And the question of, is there a certain vetting period, a consideration period for this new person if there's already existing subs or slaves? And then also, do the existing members of the household, the existing S types, have any say in the matter? What are their opinions, or, do they get to vet the person? Are their opinions taken into account in the decision making of adding a new person? Now, for me, I come from a pretty strong poly background. I do not profess to know it all, but I have a lot of experiences with non-monogamous relationships where, these are relationships with emotional depth, multiple types of loving connections, and all the trappings and challenges that come along with that. And my first thought, and I'm, as an S type within a 24/7 living dynamic, I would have a lot of questions about a new person, and it's just because I'm not young anymore, and I have a certain way that I want my life to go, and so I'm always going to be a little concerned about bringing new people in because how people live, the closer they are to you, the more what they do can affect what you experience in your life day to day. So at any rate, we decided to go ahead and have this discussion because, it's one of those things we've talked about before, and it comes up every now and again, like, how do you figure out if a person is the right person for your, to add to the household and so forth. And then too, as someone who is in a submissive role, I'm not supposed to be running around here talking about what I ain't gonna do, right? So I try to say my my opinion, and when it's asked, sometimes when it's not asked, but in a way to express my concerns, but without being overbearing or trying to top from the bottom. But I know that can be difficult when you're, feeling a ways about things. And then there's also jealousy, which is a separate issue from being really, truly concerned about this new person. Anyway, so I'm not going to dominate this whole conversation because I probably could. So I want to know for you, Sir Phoenix Black, what would you say your process would be?
Well, the standard thing that I would say is that, of course, the that I would do with any S type is, of course, the vetting, which for myself, vetting is testing someone's and checking someone's character and behavior. That they're being authentic, they're not a danger, that they operate with a level of integrity, a level of honor, etc., etc., etc. Consideration, as far as I'm concerned, is the process of seeing whether we fit as a and have a rapport and can have that kind of relationship. That's what I would call consideration, because I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that you've met someone or gotten to know someone that you thought is a great person. They have great character. You think a lot of or think highly of, but you two don't necessarily fit together as far as personality types. And sometimes that's kind of a painful thing because you meet people that you think a lot of, but you have to admit that you all wouldn't fit in a dynamic or in any type of intimate relationship. Now, in addition to that, when you're adding a S-type to a household that you already have an S-type, what I equate it to is building a team. I just had this conversation with a S-type friend of mine just yesterday, and I equated it to, and I used the parallel of basketball. Shaquille O'Neal was a great player. Hakeem Olajuwon was a great player. David Robinson was a great player. Patrick Ewing was a great player. But they all are centers. They all play that center position. Although all of them are all-stars, if you try to put all of them together, you're not going to make a good team because everyone is operating in the same role. That doesn't work. More than likely, when you add an S-type to a household, your two S-types are going to be very different because if you have someone whose strength is in one position, you don't need to add an S-type to that position when you already have someone in that position that's a strength of theirs. So that would be one thing that I would say, that you're more than likely you're going to have S-types, and I'm speaking specific to the S-types now. Your subsister or potential subsister will probably be very different from you, because they're going to play to a different strength. Now, why are you laughing?
Because sometimes we don't like that because okay, so this comes from more of a poly perspective. Real quick, you get someone here that's vastly different from me, right? I'm looking like, why she ain't like me? He must not like me. He must not like what I have to offer. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
And see, that's the thing. And
you see what I'm saying, Sugar Bush?
I get
it. Can go bad.
And see,
it's hard to remember that. But you're right, though. I agree with you in my logical mind.
Right. You agree with it in your logical mind. But here's the thing. What you just said is the other reason why those feelings will come up. Comparison is going to always bring you pain.
You lying about that.
So if you immediately start saying, well, I'm a size 14 and this new one is a size 6. He must not like size 14. No, that doesn't necessarily mean that. Oh, this particular one is real domestic and I'm not. He must not really like me.
Okay.
All right. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
No, I want to be transparent. That's one of my triggers because I'm not like super domestic. I only like certain domestic things. I love to cook, and I like personal care, like, bathing, doing feet massages and that kind of thing. But a lot of the other domestic housewife stuff are yeah. So anyway.
But that's how you build a good team. If I brought someone in that had the same exact traits that you had, let's say, technology savvy, et cetera, you're going to be fighting and competing over that lane.
Yeah, well.
So it's best to have someone who operates in a different lane. That way you don't cross paths that often. And then not only that, you build a stronger team.
I can dig
so
it.
You have to remember that from the S types, that's what I would say. It's a very good chance that your subsister or potential subsister will be very different from you, have very different traits, have very different skills, may look very different, et cetera, et cetera. But don't compare, and I know that's very difficult, but don't compare because you have strengths and your new potential subsister has strengths, and and more than likely they're going to complement each other, not compete with each other.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, my logical mind, and it's a poly perk, right? to get variety, to have people in your life that, work in different ways. And that's the whole, it's the whole non-monogamy perk. So in my logical mind, but I know it's some people out there that feel where I'm coming from, though.
I'm sure because it's very natural to kind of get that feeling, like, well, why does he bringing her in, or why is he bringing him in, and they're very different from me, and I'm not feeling this, and my role is threatened, and that kind of thing. And I think that that's something that needs to be, speaking to D types, making sure that the roles are very much understood. Making sure the roles are very understood, so that so that someone understands that their role is their role, and they have autonomy and they have dominion over this particular thing, and then this new submissive has dominion, or being trained to have dominion over this particular thing. That way you don't cross paths. No one feels as threatened. No one feels as likely to be replaced by doing that. And I think that's the way to bring it in. Now, in addition to that, give a shout out to Sir Bear. Sir Bear posted that his process is for any potential subs to come in to meet those that are already under his charge. I think that is an excellent idea, because not only do you have to worry about roles, center, point guard, forward, to use the analogy of basketball, they have to mesh together in personality too. Going back, using basketball as an analogy again, sometimes you can have an all-star point guard and an all-star center, and they can't play together. They're both all-stars in their own right, but if the personalities and egos clash, then that's going to be a problem. And I think that's something you need to kind of take into account when you're building this team. Now, of course, your submissive does not have veto power. You may take their opinion, you may not, whatever. But you definitely want to see how they interact and how they work together, because the truth of the matter is the house is about achieving a goal. It's not about, I got 5 submissives and they all rub my feet. They all, and I play with this one on Monday and Tuesday, and this one on Wednesday and Thursday. This one takes the anal hooks. This one doesn't. Nobody think about all that. It's a bigger goal than that, because everyone on that team, everyone in that house, should has signed on to try to achieve that goal. If you have a house manual, which I encourage everyone to write, everyone in the house is trying to achieve that goal. So you already have some alignment of will, to go back to our previous thing. You have some level of alignment of will. So you're all trying to reach this goal, but sometimes personalities don't work together. So you want to try to take that into consideration too, because you can have very skilled players, very skilled team members, but you're still not going to achieve the goal, and then it's going to bring down the entire team.
Sir Phoenix, I agree with you when you stated that S types need to meet, because I think dominance and D types have a type. They have a type of submissive that they look for, a type of S type, certain personality traits, and of course certain submissive traits. And often I think in the vetting process, some things that may be red flags may get lost once you see that you found somebody that fits your type. So when your current S types and potential S types are able to meet, I think your current S types have some valuable information to add, because they're able to see things that you can't. They're able to recognize those red flags and personality traits that may not mesh. And you may not be able to figure those things out if you are a D type that keeps your S type separate until they are all together in the same house. And like you said, if you're building a house, if you're building a team, you want your team members to be able to communicate and to be able to work cohesively with each other. So that's why it's important for them to be able to meet and to recognize whether or not the person that you're vetting is trying to be a team player, because sometimes you get to vetting people and they meet those personality types that you're looking for and those submissive qualities that you're looking for, and really they're coming in to dominate and take over and to be that alpha submissive and just kind of try to run the whole house from the submissive standpoint, and they're not interested in the team. That's where your other S types come in, because they're able to recognize those things. And sometimes they're able to recognize those things out of jealousy. Some of it may be pure jealousy in the fact that I'm used to being the only S type and I don't want any other S types in my house. But other times, they are able to see things that you are not, because they're looking at people from a different perspective, and they're looking to see if this person is interested in being a team player in my house, or if they're interested in tearing the house down. So I do think it's important for S types to meet and mingle.
It is, and I think, and you brought up a phrase that kind of gets me, which is alpha submissive.
Oh Lord, that's like a whole nother cast right there.
I'm not even gonna jump on that subject too tough right now. But I think that when you start classifying as alpha submissive, that inherently breeds competition.
Yes.
That inherently breeds competition. And I have said, I've been in non-monogamous relationships. I always say collaborate, don't compete, because competition, jealousy breeds competition. Competition brings strife. Strife brings disunity and disharmony. So to me, those are the things. So competition is something got to nip in the bud very, very early, because if you don't, it'll tear the whole thing out, and then you're in a situation where you have to play referee instead of coach.
Yeah. And you know what? Now I want to add a little bit about that, what you just said about not being competitive and dealing with the jealousy, because sometimes people will do that. They will, and it's not always a conscious thing. Sometimes we have feelings about, jealous feelings about this new person, and it comes out in kind of messed up ways. You know what I mean? So one thing that I like, and this has helped me in my non-monogamy journey over the years, is to recognize when my feelings are not warranted. My feelings about disliking a person are not warranted. So, for example, a new submissive, he's, under consideration. A new submissive is under consideration, and I don't like this person. Okay, is it because I really have a problem? Like I don't think this person is a good fit for you, for Sir Phoenix, or is it because I am feeling threatened and I'm not really doing the self-work and the self-reflection and the introspection that's needed to get to the root of why I feel uncomfortable with this person? And I guess I've seen, there's a couple different ways you can do non-monogamy. You can do parallel, they call it parallel poly, where you have you maintain two separate relationships. So for example, you, Sir Phoenix, have a relationship with someone else, and then with me, and then we don't really have nothing to do with each other. We don't really talk. We don't sit around breaking bread. We ain't got no relationship, okay? Basically, me and this other person. Then there's this kitchen table poly idea, where we actually come together in our service to you. We actually come together. We hang out. We spend time. We break bread. We do service things together. We help each other take care of you and take care of the household and so forth. So I think any dominant that is astute and that is paying attention and is clear on what he or she wants in terms of the type of non-monogamous union they want to have, it would behoove this person to make sure that they are clear. Do you want kitchen table poly, or do you want parallel? Because if you want kitchen table, which most people want, as far as I can tell, most of the dominants I know, is this true for you, Sugar Bush, want these people to work together. They want the submissive.
Absolutely. They want the cohesiveness, and they want the submissives to work together.
Right.
Because that strengthens the service that they get and the attention that they get, because those are things that dominants love.
Yes. So if they want that, I'm sorry, just let me finish this one thought. If they want that, then they have to take in consideration if that new person is going to fit in with the existing household. I know a friend who does very well with her kitchen table poly, and she said outright to me one day, she said, look, I value kitchen table poly. It's what I need. That's what I need for my non-monogamous relating to be what I want it to be. I will take one for the team in order to maintain the harmony that I have. So basically, it means sometimes we don't get to vibe and bring in any and everybody there just because we like them. Because if somebody else in the polycule ain't happy, then it's gonna create some strife. And I think a lot of times folks they're just not willing. They're just not willing to make that kind of sacrifice. But I don't know how productive that is for a fully functioning, harmonious household with fewer challenges. You're gonna have some challenges regardless, but fewer challenges. I think it's just unrealistic to expect to bring people together in a kitchen table poly type situation who hate each other. I mean, it just it makes no sense. To expect that.
Well, let me preface this by saying this is my personal perspective. I don't think it's really possible in a DS dynamic to have a parallel dynamics. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because, and I'll use my personal example. For me, community service to the BDSM community is very important. I think the BDSM community has given a lot to me, and I expect those that are in my charge to give back to it. So, therefore, let's say we have a community service event, and I have 2 submissives. Do I have to go to the community service event with one submissive and then go to a different one with another submissive? That doesn't make sense.
It's inefficient.
It's inefficient, and time is a resource. You're not using your resources most efficiently. So to me, that does not make sense. And you only have so much time, so much energy, and it's not going to work if you're trying to do it parallel. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I think it is very unlikely to work in a parallel situation. It really almost has to be kitchen table so that they can at least be on the same page. And the thing about it is, if the 2 submissives are coming under the same vision and the same goal, then why does it have to be parallel?
Well, if they don't get along, I mean, I've seen lots of, and I'm talking about vanilla situations, especially when there's a vanilla, you've seen this, right, Sugar Bush? Vanilla situations where somebody is long distance, one person is long distance, and the partner, I'm gonna say the male partner and the female partner is local, and then his other partner or her other partner is long distance. They really don't have to come into contact very often. Those metamors, don't have to, because in vanilla situations, you don't have all that going on. You don't have all this common vision stuff going on. People just having relationships and however they want to have them, and it doesn't have all of the structure and and the vision and the common goals, and it's not run like that. But like you said, in a DS situation or MS, a TPE situation, you're gonna want to bring these people together under this movement that you have, that you're making to achieve a common goal or whatever your vision might be. And I don't know how it can work unless it's a long distance situation and they rarely have to see each other, the two S types. To me, that can be parallel, but they still might have to have some contact, right?
Well, even in that situation, I've my mentor has said this too, that those that are in long distance relationship or long distance dynamics, there's nothing wrong with a long distance relationship or long distance dynamic, long as there is an understanding or an end point to that long distance dynamic. Okay, we're going to be doing this long distance for a year or 2 years or whatever, and then we are going to need to come together, maybe in the same house or at least in the same city or whatever. It shouldn't be a long distance thing that is indefinite. So because that's not going to bring a level of cohesiveness if you're trying to really build a household and build a team. So long as that's understood, if you go into it, it may be long distance at first, but long as you say, listen, we're going to do this with the plan that in November of 2019. Either you're going to move here, I'm going to move there. We're going this does have a finite date so that we can be under the same roof, or at least
In the
in the
same
same
area,
city, or in the
right.
same area, in the same city, so that this can be a more unified house. So
I get it. I do think that, and I've been in a long distance DS relationship before, and I do think, just coming from the S type perspective, that long distance makes it for me. It felt like when we had visits, then that's when I really was acting in my role. Otherwise, I just was living my life like regular. So it was a part-time kind of situation. You know what I mean? There's only so much someone can do if they have 530 miles between them. So yeah, but again, as far as the whole metamors relating, the subsisters relating, mm, didn't have to have that really. I mean, not that much. Because I'm 500 some odd miles away.
and see, even the, I mean, of course, I know you mean when you're talking about metamors. Metamors
Yes.
is more is
Right.
more of a vanilla
Polyamorous thing,
right,
right. A vanilla.
vanilla polyamorous thing.
Right.
Subsisters are
Or
more
sub brothers.
or sub brothers, right, under a DS type of dynamic. See, to me, from a vanilla standpoint, if you have metamors, the only thing that they have in common is that they care for the same person.
Yep.
But if you're talking about subsisters or some brothers, they care for the same person and they have the same goal and vision too. So there's a little bit more that ties them together than caring or being in a relationship with the same person. So I just wanted to make that distinction too.
But I think if you're talking about multiple life partnerships in vanilla situation, then it can be very much like that too.
Oh yeah, it can be very much
Because if you
like
got, multiple life partners where the relationship has kind of transitioned from dating to now we're going to be life partners, that then you have to kind of come together. I mean, how are you going to have a parallel poly life partner situation? I don't know how that works. No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, we know one person that has a parallel life partner thing.
I guess. Do we?
Yeah, we do know one. It's a vanilla situation.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think on that.
You know it. Sugar Bush, do you this sound familiar to you too? This person? We don't want to say names.
say no
out
We
there.
names.
don't.
Don't
I
say-
think I know who you're referring to, but
Okay.
it just seems, gosh, it just seems a bit counterproductive to me. If you have life partners that aren't working towards some type of common goal, even if you're not all in some type of triad situation or anything like that, it just seems that if you're going to have some type of life partner or either a long-term DS partner, that everybody needs to work towards some type of goal. If there's so many separate relationships, then for me it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like, what's the point? Why can't we be together to do something? Even if, and I'm the type of person that I know I'm a hard pill to swallow sometimes. I ain't for everybody. They put that on a t-shirt before. And I definitely am not for everybody. So I know that in myself that I may not immediately vibe with people. I may not immediately get along with people. But if I am in a DS dynamic, it is something that I'm going to work towards for my D type. And there are some things that I will be willing to sacrifice. There's a lot of introspection that I will be willing to do to figure out why I do not like this person, why we aren't able to vibe. And if it gets to a point where no matter what I do, we just aren't there, we aren't here, we aren't connecting, that's fine. But I am still able to get to a point to where I can do my best to work towards having some type of homeostasis, for lack of a better words, to make sure that my D type is taken care of and not in an uncomfortable situation to where they have two S types that are clashing heads just because their personalities don't mix. Yeah. And it takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of self-work. It takes a lot of just sitting back and putting yourself on the back burner and lifting your D-type back up again. So it's something that I would definitely be willing to do. It takes work, though. It's not something that's easy to decrease yourself in order to increase your D-type.
And just what you said about decreasing yourself in order to increase your D-type, it's just like a basketball team. people have to make allowances, and the best ways I can think about it is Shaquille and Kobe. They had to kind of modify their games so that the team could win a championship. So there are kind of compromises and adjustments you have to make when you're building a team. And on the D types, I think it's incumbent upon the D types to understand and to have some discretion, some vision into saying, listen, this one has petitioned me. This one is already my submissive. Are they gonna get along? I'm not sure. Listen, and it's not that. And to be honest, in my opinion, it's really not that hard because you do it in vanilla life too. You may have a circle of friends over here and have a circle of friends over there, and they don't even have to meet, but you kind of know they probably not gonna get along.
Absolutely.
So therefore, you're really not splitting the atom with this. You kind of have an idea, or you may say you have a circle of friends over here, you have a circle of friends over here. You're like, they might get along. Let's see. Let's all go out for breakfast or something like that, and whatever. And then you sit back and you watch, and see if you're right or if you're wrong. But we do it in vanilla life too. It's really not that hard. You know, there's some people like, this ain't gonna work. I got my friend over. This my friend over here. This my friend over here. But I need to keep them apart because they ain't gonna work.
And I think it's easier to do when it is just a DS relationship that does not also have a romantic relationship involved as well. Because there's other factors that come into play when there is, like, you all are a full-time 24/7 live-in situation. So there's other factors that are involved that would not be involved if you were just having a DS dynamic. There are certain feelings and emotions and things that get involved. It would be easier for me personally to just say, all right, I'm not particularly feeling this other S-type, this sub-sister, but I'm going to do whatever just because we need to get along for our D-type, so whatever. I guess I'll rock with her. However, if it's a romantic relationship that I'm having with my D-type, it is going to be so much harder for me to swallow more of my pride and increase more of my submission because I'm just like, this is somebody that I love and care about that I'm also submissive to. And this other person is coming in here and it's like, okay, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to usurp my position? Are you trying to get rid of me? Are you trying to come in and demonstrate how subbier than thou you are? That is a phrase that I use. Are you trying to out-sub me or are you trying to be sisterly? That is what I
sub me.
Out-sub me, absolutely.
In the submissive Olympics?
Yes. There are a lot of submissives out here that aren't in it for the submission. They're in it to show that they are just the best, subbier submissive out there. And so that's another thing that contributes to a lot of the competition and things. And it's not about working towards a common goal for your dominant. So
I want to know, so I'm going to put this out there. Anybody who's won a gold in the submissive Olympics, please email Sir Phoenix Black so you can be recognized and we can put you on a plaque or something.
We will shout you out on the next cast, okay? If you are the gold medalist.
The gold medalist
of
in the
submissive slave Olympics.
What are the competitions in the sub Olympics?
I guess it would just
the 12 slave poses.
12 slave poses, kneeling, the kneeling Olympics.
Olympics.
Who can kneel the longest?
Who can boot black the fastest? I shine them boots way faster than you did, girl. I know we a mess, Lord, we a mess. We as a people need to come together. But you know what else you made me think about too, Sugar Bush, is the live-in factor. This is our home, you know, and I don't know about the rest of y'all out there listening to this, but I'm funny about my home. I feel like home is the only place on the planet that a person can go to where they can completely let go of their guard. They can completely do whatever they want to do at home, as far as like leaving their personal items out, you know, leaving mail and, you know, information and stuff out, leaving money out. I can't live in a house where I can't leave money in my purse and wherever I want to leave it at. It's just, or my personal information and stuff. I shouldn't have to lock everything away. I should be able to come home and see peace and feel peace in the place that I lay my head every night, that I support with my money, that I put my energy into maintaining. And so when you are in a living situation and this is the truth for vanilla poly too, not just DS or MS poly, but if you're in a living situation and now you have to deal with somebody that you cannot stand or don't trust coming up in your place, your humble abode, that creates a whole nother situation.
Now here is the trust. Is the trust that you saying that you don't trust? Is it that you don't trust them because you have evidence of them being distrustful, or you just don't, or or they haven't proven to you one way or the other that you can trust them?
Well, I will say this: that is when big trust, what you were talking about, the whole real submission piece comes in. Real quote unquote submission comes in, because I have to say, okay, I don't trust this individual, but my sir does. So I am going to
That is a submission of will, ain't it?
Yes, I'm gonna submit my trust down. I'm gonna sit my trust issues
You
down.
need a fan?
I know, right? Make you need to pull some drinks up out of here. Sit my situation down. And believe that this person to whom I've entrusted my well-being will not bring no Fruit Loop up in here
Now
that I can't leave. That I have to now guard myself from.
Now here's the thing.
And that is very hard to do if you have a trust problem. Very hard to do.
Now here's the thing that I would say for D types when that. If your submissive has an issue trusting this person and they don't have any evidence of them being untrustworthy, or even if they do have evidence of being untrustworthy, and you override your S-type's thing, if it does not turn out right or does not turn out well, there's two things you got to do. You got to admit your mistake. Hush.
I'm sorry.
You got to admit your mistake, and you got to find a way to fix it. Because why? Because what's the first thing? Protect property. So if it doesn't go right, if you made a mistake, we are not infallible. If you make a mistake, admit the mistake to your submissive. It does not make you less of a D type just because you made a mistake. And fix and do your best to fix the problem. That's the only thing you can do at that point.
And be prepared that you may have to spend some time giving your S-type a minute.
Yeah, they might need some support for a minute after that.
To get trust back. Putting your life in somebody else's hands, that is no small deal. Especially when you're used to running it yourself. Like I am. So it's a struggle to relinquish. When you are very much accustomed to, to making sure that you're okay and not depending on anyone else to do that. I think the only reason why I'm even able to do it even a little bit is because I've had a glimpse of myself as someone who doesn't carry all the burden on her own. And I've seen how I am. I've experienced myself being, relaxed enough to say, you know what, I'm just gonna let somebody else worry about me. I've experienced.
And it took a while.
It took me a minute.
It took a while for you to get to that point with us, because
I was a single mom for many, many years, and I had to run it. If I didn't do it, it didn't get done.
You know what's a perfect example of that? Why you're saying that? When you first moved in, there was a moment where it was I can't even remember what the situation was, but it was something with her son.
Lord.
And I said to her, I said to her, you realize you're not by yourself anymore, right? And she kind of had this look of astonishment almost for a second. And yeah, you really did. You had a look almost of astonishment. And I said, you realize you don't have to do it. You're not by yourself. You don't have to do all this by yourself now. Yeah. But it took a while for her to do that. Now, probably we've had several different situations where your trust in me became very apparent over time. But that takes time.
It takes time.
That takes time. And I'll be the first to tell you, I have made mistakes. I have made mistakes. But I think that you know that, first of all, they're obviously not on purpose. That's why they're called mistakes.
No, right.
And secondly, if I do make the mistake, I will admit the mistake.
Yes.
And I will do my best to fix it.
Yes.
Because I do believe in both of those things. It doesn't make me less of a dominant because I have made a mistake. It doesn't make me less of a dominant to try to fix the mistake. But what that also makes me do is that when you voice your opposition to something, it makes me really look into it deeper before I override you.
And I appreciate that because I work very hard not to have any opposition to anything unless there's something really bothering me. And I've had to, instead of, relying on my own, my own baggage or whatever, and just lashing out and worried about everything, I've had to say, no, wait now, you tripping. Just hold on. Is this something that you really need to have a conversation with him about? And I've had to check myself, so I guess I'm saying this to say that it's not all on the D-type when it comes to dealing with the possibilities of a new person coming in and the trust issues that may arise or the concerns that may arise amongst the existing S-types, because the S-types got to do some self-work in that too. We all have to work on that together. And I think we have to support each other. I need to talk to my people and say, I'm really uncomfortable, and I have to talk to myself, journal. Sometimes I've made voice recordings of my feelings and just, so I can play them back and examine them to make sure I'm not tripping. I have a sister circle of close friends that I talk to am I okay, look, I'm gonna run something past you, am I tripping, that kind of thing. And I think it's very important for the S-types to be able to discern between a concern that's based on some mess going on inside you versus a concern that's really about this new person that the D-type is trying to bring in. It's really important to do that work and figuring out and not just act on your emotions that could be based on nothing but some mess going on inside of you. Mm-hmm. So I think that the D-type has responsibility to be careful and to watch, be conscientious about bringing new people in. But I also think that the existing S-types that are already in the house have a responsibility too, to work hard at being harmonious, at creating harmony together, and being, doing that in a manner that's productive for the whole house. So you do have to sit your ego down.
Mm-hmm. And it is very hard to sit that ego down sometimes. So yeah, it's pretty. I posted in one of the groups, I think, that this part of the title of this podcast, these recordings that we're doing, is called The Journey Unleashed. Because it is a journey. It's a journey. It's a progress that is never ending. And part of the journey is self-discovery, self-reflection, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to take into consideration that you have to be reflective, you have to be introspective, you have to be all of those things, and that's on both sides of the slash. You need to be all of those things because it's not going to be easy on either side. So yeah. I think we have gone just about over our time, haven't we?
Yes. We usually try to keep these to about 30, 35 minutes. We are officially at around 45 minutes. So, but we had a guest. We had Sugar Bush up in here.
We did.
So we got a little bit lengthy on this one, but I don't think it's bad.
We didn't go that bad.
So we're gonna end it here, and as usual, we hope you will continue the discussion. We hope that you will feel free to give us feedback. Feel free to post your comments and add to the discussion. Keep the dialogue going.
And thank you for all of those who have listened and already subscribed to our YouTube channel. We're going to be working out. I'm doing this to work out a lot of the technical kinks and to just get feedback and topics and et cetera, so that when it gets released to the masses, it gets released to the masses seamlessly. So I want to thank all of you all who have listened and all of you who have subscribed, and thank you so much to everyone.
Yes, thank you for listening to our beta episode 3. Have a great day.
Yes.
Say
Always
bye,
get
Sugar
consent.
Bush. Oh, well, always get consent.
Always get consent.
Always get consent. Bye, everybody.
All right.